The concept of separation of church and state is not secularization. And by the way, this is really important to understand, because the critics today say if you don't have separation of church and state, the church is going to take over the government. No. All the history of the world, it's the government who takes over the church and makes it an arm of the state.
Right.
And so it starts back 391 AD. Emperor Theodosius said, I'm a Christian. I now decree the whole world's going to be Christian or I'm going to kill you. That's a state-established church.
Right.
And so we have a number of documents here from Great Britain time, from the American Revolution. Great Britain says, here's who can take communion. And it's an act of parliament. Great Britain says, here who's licensed to preach. It's an act of parliament. Parliament's got no voice over that. So Jefferson does not want to secularize the society at all.
Right.
What he wants to do is make sure the government can't stop it. So what's really cool is when you read the First Amendment, the two religion clause is really short. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Key word is Congress can't make a law establishing religion. Congress can't make us all Anglicans or Lutherans or Baptists or Catholics or Quakers or atheists or anything else.
Or in
and
Pelosi's
the only one
case,
limited there is
Satanists.
Congress.
Yeah, in Pelosi's case, Beelzebub worshipers. But yes, go ahead.
Oh, don't go there. That's close.
Potentially, but allegedly.
Yeah,
allegedly. No, but that is important to note. And just an aside, this is something that a lot of people don't understand when you get a lot of sort of modern intellectuals saying, well, it's such a crime that it's a crooked game, a racket, they say, because they're from the 1940s, that churches have tax-exempt status. We need to remove. Well, this is exactly why. Because like you said, governments would go into churches, just like people are concerned about the IRS or the FBI or the DOJ becoming political weapons at this point.
Yeah.
You could do a lot of damage to, by the way, any religious institution if you're picking and choosing who gets tax breaks and who don't. So it's an even playing field. But yeah, because that is very clear in the First Amendment. But we hear this word separation of church and state a whole lot, and it's attributed to Jefferson. Tell people a little bit about where that comes from, the context of his letter to the Danbury Baptists. Jefferson
was such an advocate for all the other denominations. As an Anglican guy, he advocated for every other denomination that's being persecuted. And in America at the time of the British, there were 9 of the 13 colonies that had a state-established religion. There was different from state to state. It might be Congregationalist, it might be Baptist in Rhode Island, it might be Anglican in South Carolina. So what he's wanting is freedom, religious freedom. So when he got elected to office in 1800 and was sworn in 1801, interestingly enough, he got letters. Just a bunch of letters came into him as president from Baptist pastors across the nation, because in every state except Rhode Island, Baptists were minority pastors, and they were scared to death of the government shutting them down as they did in Virginia. And so when Jefferson got in, they say, hallelujah, you're our guy. You've been fighting for us for years. You've got more than 15 years of fighting for us. We are so glad you're president because we know you're going to do the right thing and you're not going to punish us. So one of those groups, Danbury Baptist Association, Danbury, Connecticut, wrote him a letter. It's October the 7th, 1801. And they said that we are really concerned because this thing about Congress guaranteeing our free exercise of religion, they said God guarantees our free exercise of religion. We think that even the word Congress appearing there might someday cause the government to think it has the right to regulate our religion. Yeah. And so they're concerned that the words appearing there might cause Congress think they could. Right. Jefferson writes back on January the 1st of 1802. It's Friday, and there's the reason I'll say Friday. Friday, January 1st, 1802, he writes back, and it's a 233-word letter. It's 3 paragraphs long. Anybody can read it in under 5 minutes. If you're a slow reader, it'll take you under 5 minutes. And Jefferson said, you don't have to worry about any government establishing or taking over your faith, because there is a wall of separation between church and state that protects your religious expression. And he goes through and says, because there's a wall of separation, you're free to express your faith however you want to, anywhere you want to, any place you want. And so he gave this guarantee of religious freedom. Now, what's fun is that's Friday, January the 1st, 1802. Sunday, January the 3rd, 1802, Thomas Jefferson is in church at the Capitol, and the guy who's preaching that day is the Reverend John Leland, who Thomas Jefferson invited to come preach at the Capitol at the church. So if he thinks separation of church and state's a bad deal, what's he doing on Sunday? You just violated everything you wrote. No. And this is what's really significant to me, Steve. In 1947, the U.S. Supreme Court quoted Jefferson's letter in a case called Jefferson versus Board of Education. Now, what they did then was out of 233 words in the letter, they only quoted 8 words: a wall of separation between church and state. Every Supreme Court that used Jefferson's letter prior to 1947 quoted the whole letter. They put it in there, and when you read it, you go, this is a no-brainer. You got complete exercise of religious faith. We'll never stop anything. Since 1947, we have not seen a single court reprint Jefferson's full letter. All they say is a wall of separation. There have been over 4,000 federal cases on religion since 1947. None of them quote the full letter. Oh my gosh, there's no space requirement in the decision. You can let it go on 500 pages. You can make that a footnote.
Right.
Nobody does.
For crying, I'll say for crying out loud, I think it was 1,800 pages for Brendan Dassey, Making a Murderer. So you think they could at least shoehorn it in there.